What's up? I'm Brianna Ivy, and this is the Hear from a Student podcast. Jayna, how's it going?
It's good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I hope you're enjoying this week vacation, 2-week vacation. Is that what it is?
It's 3. We're going on to week 3. I am loving it. Lots of reading. I learned how to knit during the first week, so I'm making a blanket. That's been fun. Some good time with my grandma, learning that and just spending some time with family and friends. It's been really amazing.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for taking some time to answer a couple of questions on the Hear from a Student podcast. I appreciate you.
Okay.
And we're gonna we're gonna get into it for those in the world that don't know you. Start off by introducing yourself. Let us know your name, where you from, where you go to school, and what you study.
Yeah, well, hello everyone. I'm Jayna. I go to Marquette University. I am entering my senior year at Marquette University, studying mechanical engineering. I grew up about an hour north of Milwaukee in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin.
Ooh, good old Wisconsin. You know, it's a girl to love it in the summertime. So, senior year, Marquette. Take me back to senior year high school, Jayna, right? You're getting ready to go into college and you have to decide, well, what came first? Did you know what you wanted to study, or did you decide I want to go to Marquette and I'll figure out what I want to study later?
Well, I came in with a major. It was not mechanical engineering. And Marquette, I wanted to be a dentist. And so I was applying to schools that had dental programs.
Okay.
Marquette has a dental school. And so I came in actually as a biomedical engineer because I knew that I liked the aspects that the engineering degree brought. Mm-hmm. I did not want to do just a biochemistry major, was kind of my thoughts before biomedical engineering. But I knew that I didn't want to do something that was more bio and chemistry focused. I liked the engineering focus that biomedical engineering brought. And then I decided after my freshman year that dental school might not be the path for me. And so I decided that as much as I liked biomedical engineering, that I liked the mechanical aspects of it more. And so I switched my major very early on to mechanical engineering. But yeah, so it was the major kind of, but it was really influenced by Marquette having a dental school.
Got it. Wow. First of all, I didn't know Marquette had a dental school, and I didn't know you wanted to be a dentist. That's crazy. Wow. Okay. So you go from dentist to mechanical engineer. You start getting into mechanical engineering things. At any point, did you say, I don't know if I should have did mechanical, or did you always enjoy like the path that mechanical put you on?
The mechanical path, I enjoyed it. I was a COVID student. And so I think any of my doubts really stemmed from missing out on opportunities in the classroom and in the lab. It definitely, getting through your lower classmen classes is brutal. Once you make it to differential equations, the tough class, and just like you're getting into your dynamics. And I think it gets a little overwhelming. As soon as I started getting into the upperclassmen classes, I knew that I was in the right spot. When I started doing my internships, I knew I was in the right spot. It's a full circle moment into this is why I'm doing it. This is why I started there. You have to get through the thick of things to get back to the things that you're like, this is why I enjoy what I'm pursuing. And yeah, so there was some moments of doubt. There was never moments of maybe I shouldn't be here, but there was moments of doubt. But yeah, like I said, that full circle moment, once I started working jobs in industry and getting to my upper level classes, it was the right decision.
Yeah, the upper level, I feel like upper level classes really tied together, like the theory stuff, and you got to actually see stuff in practice. Those are always my favorite classes, because lower level, the general stuff, I wasn't really interested in, and it was hard. And it's like, why is it hard? And I'm also not interested in it. Like, this is 2 L's. But what were some of your favorite classes as you got into the mechanical work? And then what was your least favorite class?
So I got into the upper level classes. I really enjoyed the measurements and controls class. That was a class that I was very nervous going into. Combines a lot of those lower level classes and more complex ones. There's MATLAB, there's circuits in it, and those were things that I didn't feel necessarily very confident in going into that class. And then once I got there, I was like, I got this. I spent a lot of work on that class, and that was one of my classes that I've just really, really enjoyed. And it was one that I think brought a lot of different aspects of those lower classmen classes in. And it just kind of was like pulled everything together. So yeah, that's measurements and controls was definitely one of my favorites. I took a numerical methods class, which was where I learned a lot of MATLAB. That I still have mixed emotions about MATLAB, but it was
Most
a fun
people
class. It was a fun class to get it to be able to run and really just get a basis of it and an understanding of it. And then actually the most important class I think I've taken was a 1-credit CAD course at Marquette. I took a SolidWorks class my sophomore year. It was not required. I had to take it to make up a credit that I missed when I changed majors. And I learned CAD that way. I learned SolidWorks that way. And that is how I got my first internship because I had that basis of CAD going into it. And that was a super fun class. I enjoyed the problem solving. I enjoyed being able to build things and see those physical models. But yeah, those would be my favorite classes I've taken.
What about a least favorite? Also, I just have to say CADing is a skill that I wish that I had. Cause I feel like it's just so fun and you don't really have to be doing it like to build something for real. Like you could build like, I don't know, a cup holder or something and you could just, have that skill. So I wish I could do that.
You should still get into it. I promise it's not as hard as you think to learn. I highly recommend.
So difficult.
I highly recommend it. I think you'd kill it. Okay. A class that I didn't love. Dynamics was hard. I don't want to say I did not love dynamics. It was a hard class. It was a lot of work. And it was a hard class for me to take. I came out learning a lot. And it was a class that I'm glad that I took, but that was definitely a class that was difficult.
Okay. I feel like I've heard this. Well, I think at Tech, the one that everybody hated was thermodynamics. Is that the same? Or are they two different things?
No, it is not. It is not. Dynamics is calculations. You're moving things. Thermodynamics is thermal.
Yeah.
I did not mind thermodynamics as much. I thought that class was okay in my opinion, but I can definitely see where people are coming from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, mine was dynamics.
Okay. What do you think was the most challenging thing overall about studying mechanical engineering? Or, you're going into your last semester, but the most challenging thing you've encountered thus far about the engineering discipline as a whole?
I think you definitely need to learn how to balance your courses. I think you take a lot of difficult courses at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I think just figuring out how to be able to balance the workload, but then also ask questions. The best thing that I've ever done for myself is go to office hours. Oh. The professors are so willing to help you. They're so willing to answer questions and give you hints and feedback. And so, yeah, that ability to balance those classes, but also seek help and know when you need help. Yeah. And go, if you can, go before you think you need help, because that's how you can stay on top of things. That's definitely something that's very daunting as a freshman when you come in, because you're confused. You're confused, I think, a lot. And the professors are so smart, and it's not that they're unapproachable. I just think it's in a class setting that you don't necessarily know them because it's a large class. It's the first time you're in a room with over 100 people. You don't have a personal relationship with the professor before going to those office hours. Yeah. So yeah, just really coming out of your shell, making sure you're asking questions and knowing to ask when you need help.
For sure. Did you start that way? Because I know for me, like that is something that now, you like ask for help before you start drowning, like go to use office hours. But I didn't go into freshman year with that mindset. I went in not really knowing how to ask for help and not really feeling like I should. So is that something that you always knew, or did you kind of grow into that with your experience throughout college?
I think that I have grown into it. I definitely came in with that advice. I have older cousins that have gone to college,
Yeah.
and that is something that a lot of my cousins said was go to office hours. I think when you come in as a freshman, it's you think you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, yeah, whatever. And so I did start I went to TA office hours a lot as a freshman. The TAs were a lot more accessible. The professors were always accessible, but I think a lot of my classes I had more interaction with my TAs.
Yeah.
And so I asked a lot of TA help, TA questions. And then I spent a lot of time though with my calculus professors, learning calc. I think I started early on with a few classes going to office hours. And then as I went on in the academic career, just figuring out what classes I'm like, okay, this is one that I'm going to definitely need to ask questions in. And so I go to office hours for more classes now as an upperclassman. And the freshman and sophomore years definitely kept it to like one or two. And now there's classes that I definitely go to office hours more for.
Yeah.
But I'd say that I go to office hours for all of my professors at least once in a semester.
Yeah. The office hours really are a hidden gem, an unspoken key for success. I
Yes.
don't know why we don't be using them the way we should, especially when we pay a lot of money for resources, and that is one of the resources that we should be using. But like, yeah, going to office hours is really important. And you never know what can come from an office hour session. You just really never know. If you get a good rapport with the professor and because I feel like they like people to come to office hours because they have to sit in the office, like they have to be there. So it's like you should go, and then you never know what can come of those sessions. So that is a very good key to being successful in school. If you can go to office hours, you should go to office hours.
You should. And your professors will love it because,
They will
as you
hopefully
said,
eat it up.
a lot of people don't go to office hours, so they're just sitting there for an hour.
Yeah,
They get excited when you show up, and they will answer your questions, and they will not make you feel stupid.
exactly.
You are not the only one with that question. Go to office hours.
Yes, they used to get so excited, and I think that also makes you feel good as a freshman going into office hours, like when you go in and the teacher's like excited. So that's great. In that same vein, what do you think is like the biggest way you've grown from freshman Jayna to now? And then what is something that you hope to improve or achieve going into your senior year?
Confidence levels have increased significantly from freshman year to senior year. You just become confident in your abilities. You become confident in the ability to ask questions, just really confident in your ability to be a student and then a person outside of school.
Yeah.
Um, Something that I hope to grow on going into my senior year, I just keep to, I hope that I'm going to keep fostering those skills that are going to help me transition to the professional world. I am going to be entering a senior design class, so lots of problem solving skills that I want to build on there. That will be the first time that I will take a problem from start to finish, hopefully, depending on the project. In internships, I've had a lot of glimpses into I've been able to look into what a project is and certain parts of it, but I
Yeah.
haven't necessarily been able to go start to finish. So I'm really looking forward to being able to explore that entire process my senior year.
Yes. That was a fun part about senior design, being able to design something from start to finish and like see it through all the different phases, whether it worked at the end or not. But just being able to see it through, have a little brainchild. That's always fun. Okay, last before we jump into the next section of questions, is there any like part of mechanical engineering or any skill within the discipline that you just like really love? Like this is your thing, like I really love this part of mechanical engineering.
I love doing CAD. That is something that I don't see my future career being based entirely on, but
Yeah.
I do want it to be a part of my future career. I like doing the 3D modeling and
Yeah.
being able to see a 3D rendering of it before you get to build prototypes. So yeah, I think CAD is a skill that I'm really glad that I learned, and it's something that I see myself using a lot in the future.
Got it. Cool. So you mentioned internships. Did you have any, or I know, and I also know you did co-ops. Was there any one that was, I guess, the most impactful, or a project that you learned the most on, and something that you're going to take with you, like, to this last semester?
Yeah, so I think I have had the opportunity to do 3 different internships and co-ops. I've had 1 internship and 2 co-ops, and I have learned something important, so many important things at all of them.
Mhm.
I think like the most impactful thing is learning how to be a part of a team. Between the first internship and the third internship, just the first internship was the first time entering the professional setting. It was the first time being around full-fledged engineers. I did not know what was going on. And so that internship really, it was amazing. I mean, it gave me an environment where I could ask questions. I could really just learn so much from everyone around me. And that helped me into my second internship with my first co-op, with being able to be comfortable asking questions, but also coming in with those skills that I'd learned in the first internship, and then being able to take those skills from the first and the second internship and enter into the third internship is just like the accumulating skills that I have learned from each internship has helped the next one, the start just be more smooth, and really just being able to be a person operating on a team in a
Yeah.
professional setting.
Yeah, that's really true. That's good. Did you the process between internship, or the decision between internship and co-op, what went into that for you? And then was the process to seek them out the same?
The process to seek them out was the same. I went in thinking that I wanted to co-op.
Mm-hmm.
Marquette has a huge co-op program. It's something that when you're coming in as a freshman, it kind of feels like everyone co-ops.
Yeah.
Once you co-op, you realize that is not the case. A lot of people do decide around their sophomore year that 5 years so I'll be in school for 5 years. I will do 8 academic terms, but it will be 5 years. And so you will kind of figure out your sophomore year if you want to do that, if you're okay with that, or if you're someone that says, I'm an intern, which is also great.
Yeah.
Both have their, both are great for their own reasons. But around my sophomore year, I was okay with adding that co-op term. As I said, I was a freshman during COVID. And so part of my want to co-op was the first term that I did it was the first term that Marquette was transitioning from hybrid to a more in-class approach. And so I felt for me that co-oping would be a great opportunity to expand on my knowledge while interning during the semester. So just being able to stay at a company longer, get more experience, exposure there. But it would also keep me out of the classroom for that semester, as everyone was kind of figuring out that transition back. And then I also, a full year, I was hopeful that my stayed for 4 years as well, but it was kind of ensuring it with a 5th year. But yeah, so with co-oping, like I said, I liked the idea that it was being able to extend the internship. You were able to stay somewhere longer. You're really able to follow projects for more of their process when you're able to stay on. And then interning, it kind of worked out that my first co-op just started in the fall. It did not start in the summer. And so at the time that I was applying as a sophomore, I was applying to internships and co-ops.
Yeah.
And so I found an internship for that summer. And then I also found a co-op that started in the fall. And so I actually accepted the co-op for the fall before the internship in the summer. But yeah, there wasn't a huge decision for me because I knew that I wanted to co-op. And so when I found this co-op opportunity, like I said, from COVID, it was a great opportunity to be out of the classroom and in the working world. But then it was also something that helped me further my knowledge.
Yeah, that's good. That was a good I think breakdown of the co-op versus internship and how you approached it, because I know that is always a interesting decision, and everybody has to make their own decision on like what the timeline looks like. Because I was at Georgia Tech 4.5 years and I didn't co-op at all. So if I had a co-op, I probably would have been there for 6. So you just have to kind of figure out what what works for you. But thank you for sharing your experience
Absolutely.
with that and your thought process. So you've done co-ops, internships, you're going into your last uh year of school. Is there anything that now, like based on those experiences, that you're going back to school, like, you know what, this internship or co-op made me want to get this academic experience, so when I go back, I'll have this under my belt? Was there any skill or thing like that you want to get now?
I don't think there's anything specific that has come, like class-wise, that has come from internships. I think the way my courses are, there's not a lot of room for extra classes,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Um, I am taking a tech elective that I'm really excited about this fall, and it's a class about inclusive design. And so I'm really excited to explore that and just see ways that we can implement more inclusive design
Yeah.
our thought processes and in our designs. So I'd say that would be not necessarily influenced by my internships, but that is something that I was able to pick,
Yeah.
and I'm really excited to take that.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I think when it was either during junior design or before senior design. I don't know. We were forced to take like a ethical designing course within a course. And so I don't know, it kind of just makes you think about how we design things, because that's not always taught in the forefront. It's, mostly technical, like don't don't explode things, basically.
Yes.
But to have that extra, and then also when you're designing, be ethical, think about inclusivity. So I think those are always interesting. It's also interesting that we have to teach it and that it's not like a automatic thought, but that just kind of goes to show like what the priorities are and how we need to incorporate that more as we go into
Yes.
wherever we choose to go after school. So that is always interesting. um so over the course of your internships and even in school, has there been like a project that you really enjoyed and that you learned a lot that you would want to share, and kind of like
Yes.
the mechanical magic of it? Because for some reason, to me, mechanical is just such a magical discipline. It is the real black box. I know when we do like electrical engineering, they're like, oh, it's a black box and this, that, and the third. But for me, mechanical is like the magical thing. I don't know why, but it is. Maybe because stuff moves. I don't know.
I think it's a mutual feeling because we call what you guys do black magic. So, but I think one of the coolest projects that I've done in school, I haven't entered senior design yet, so I don't have experience there. But my first half of my junior year, I did a design and machine elements class. So you're learning about things like bearings, gears, and we just had to come up with a project that we implemented 5 different aspects of these different components that we learned about. And so we decided that we were going to put a motor on a baby stroller. Uh, we did not build an actual model of this. The class was not long enough to get through that. It was purely a hypothetical situation. Not hypothetical, because there were calculations done out. There were materials that were picked for certain reasons. I will say, I think it was a stainless steel baby stroller, which that would not be something that you'd actually make. It was just
Yeah.
happened to be what we learned about in class.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was a fun thing to explore sourcing motors. I think we ended up taking a motor off of a lawnmower
Yeah.
to put on this stroller. Our professor was very concerned when we proposed it about our safety mitigations. So we did have 2 layers of safety that we proposed. There was a handbrake and then an emergency kill
Yeah.
switch that was attached to whoever was using it. Um, and so maybe not the most realistic idea, but it was really fun to be able to go through and do all of these calculations based on what we'd learned in class, see if you could actually do it. And
Yeah.
according to our calculations, it worked.
Hey.
But like I said, those were all calculations. And once you start building things, it's very different. But it was very fun to.
Yeah. Could you imagine you walking in the mall and there's a mom and a family and the stroller has and it's just going? Could you imagine? Like that would
And
be
that's
so funny.
we pitched it as an idea for people that wanted to get into running that had kids and they were worried about pushing the extra weight of the stroller. We were looking
Yeah.
at parents that use the jogging strollers.
Yeah.
And then we also pitched it as grandparents that maybe aren't as strong but want to take their kids or their grandkids for a walk, or just
Yeah.
elderly family and friends. And then parents that live in hilly neighborhoods,
Yeah.
um, help go
That's
uphill.
good.
So yeah, it was a
Yeah.
fun project. There was definitely some safety concerns that we had to mitigate, but it was really fun. It was really fun
Yeah.
to just kind of go through the early stages of concepting.
Yeah. I think pitching is, I don't know if we did it like, most of the time it was like you're given a project, do it. But I think I enjoy the idea of like create and pitch like
Yes.
in the school setting. That's pretty cool. And it wasn't until like my senior design project, maybe junior design, but like the importance of material picking. Me, I don't think about that. I'm like, you know what? If it's not, if it, as long as it doesn't melt, as long as it's not too much current running through here, it's fine. But like my senior design project was a medical device, so it was very much like pick materials that can be cleaned with bleach. And I was like, wow, everything can't be cleaned with bleach. Me in electrical land, I'm like, I never think about that kind of stuff. So it's interesting when I hear mechanicals and maybe material science engineers think about materials in that way, because typically I don't. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, so we're going to jump into the next set of questions in a segment called If You. Okay, so you might have to use your imagination,
Okay.
please, a little bit more. The
Okay.
first question is, if you could pick a skill from another major, it doesn't have to be a STEM major, it can be any major, what would it be?
I'm actually going to dip out to communications. I think the ability to talk cross functionally is something that I have been able to work on during my internship is so important. And that's definitely a skill that is sometimes lacking in the engineering world. And so, yeah, I would just definitely, the better your communication skills, the more effective you could be on a team. So I would definitely like to reach over there and grab some skills.
I think that's a good one. And I don't know if it's an underrated skill. I think it's one that maybe generally we may not take as serious as all the like technical skills until we get in a setting where it's like, oh, this I could do this better. So
Yep.
that's a good one. Okay. If you were on a project with a bunch of different engineers, a bunch of different disciplines, what do you think is unique about your perspective as a mechanical engineer when working on a project?
Your ability to visualize things. I think the mechanical engineers are dealing with a lot of hands on things. I think that we are able to really follow the design plan and the different aspects and the way that they have to connect to each other in order to work together. Um, and so, yeah, I think seeing the big picture of how something works and being able to visualize in 3D is something that mechanical engineers bring to the table.
That is so great because you know what I cannot do? That. I have to see it. I have to like draw it out to the best of my ability, but visualization in my head without seeing it is very difficult for me. So that's so good.
It's definitely a learned skill. It is something
Yeah.
that I hope to keep improving on, but it is
Yeah.
something I've gotten a lot better at during my time as a student. And
That's
yeah,
phenomenal. I
in the
also
internship.
have no like no like spatial size recognition. Like if you tell me there's a like a 2 foot by 2 foot box, I got nothing for you. I need to see the box. You know what I'm saying? So that probably goes along with
Yes.
that. That's a pretty great one. Okay. If you were in charge of what, I don't know, but let's just go with it. If you were in charge
Okay.
and there was one skill that you would make every STEM major have, what would it be?
I think we go back to the communication skills.
Okay.
I think STEM majors are great at,
Uh-oh.
and this is not to say that STEM majors do not know how to communicate, because that is not true.
Okay.
And I think that lots of people have strong skills. However, I think that it can sometimes be a little easy to go into your own world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that communication just makes everything so much easier. And so, yeah, I would make sure that everyone was a strong communicator.
Okay. Okay. I thought you were gonna have a spicy take. I don't even think it'll be a spicy take. I feel like most non-STEM majors think that STEM majors don't have good communication skills.
Oh, I
And
agree. No, I agree. I think as a STEM major, I don't think that's true. But I know at Marquette, at least, there's definitely some beef between the engineering and the communications college. But I think we could learn a lot from them.
I feel like we're all growing,
Yep.
and that's okay. Um, okay.
Is there some beef at Georgia Tech?
You know, I think our beef is majority between, well, at least I'll say for like the electrical and the computer engineers have beef
Okay.
because we think we're the real engineers. And
Okay.
because so the beef that I have with my friends is that most of us came in electrical together, right?
Okay.
And then somewhere around EMAG, I lost a lot of my electrical friends to computer engineering, and then they went like mostly software. So I was like, well, you should just be a computer scientist and not an engineer. So that's the beef we have. Love them
Okay.
dearly. We're always going to give each other crap about it. But no, I'm sure my roommate was economics and international affairs, and I'm sure she has a lot of opinions about the communication skills of of the STEM majors. Not me though. I'm good.
That's,
I think
I
I'm a
think
pretty good
I think it's
communicator.
a stereotype that is there sometimes for a reason. But I do think it is definitely a stereotype. I know plenty of engineers that are great at communicating.
Right. I think we could all stand to grow a little.
That's 100% true.
Okay. If you worked for Webster's Dictionary and they came to you and they said, Jayna, we want you to write the definition of a mechanical engineer, what would you write? And this is how you get your paycheck.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mhm.
Say that someone that makes things work together. I'm gonna give a long definition. I don't know that my Webster's dictionary is gonna accept that. Oh, I said, I said, someone that takes multiple components and can make them work together was my shorthand version of
Okay.
what a mechanical engineer does.
Okay. Okay. I still think you get paid. I think that
Okay, okay. It's a little
round,
rough, but
you
I think
know,
as a shorthand, it can
yeah.
pass.
I think that that's what you do. From your perspective, what is a mechanical engineer? We make things work together. I think that goes. In 10 seconds or less, why should someone study mechanical engineering?
You want to be able to enter any field pretty much that you can. I think mechanical engineers can go into just about anything. You want to be able to problem solve. You like working with your hands. You like really seeing those physical models and making changes to solve problems. I think that would be my pitch for it.
Yay, that was good. If I wasn't electrical, maybe I would be a mechanical
Oh, okay.
based on your pitch alone. Okay. What is something that you wish someone would have told you either about college before you started or about mechanical engineering before you started? Or if you have one for both, you can share that.
I think about engineering. I think this is something that is, it was definitely said to me, but I didn't really believe it. It's going to be okay.
Okay.
You're going to go through some really hard classes. You're going to have some lows. You're going to feel like maybe you're not smart enough. That's not true. It's just a tough test. It's just a tough assignment. Like, you're doing fine. You're gonna be great. And it's gonna be okay. And then for college, again, I think this is something that is kind of said, but put yourself out there. You're going to make friends. It's going to be okay. I remember going into freshman orientation and I was so nervous. It's a new place. You don't know anyone. Be willing to put yourself out there. You're going to make amazing friends. You're going to find people that just really click with you. The people that you find your freshman year might not be the people that you hang out with your senior year, and that's okay. You are going to grow as a person, and so are they. And you're gonna find some great people though. And it's really, college is great, and you're gonna have a good time. But it does have its highs and lows, and it's all gonna work out.
For sure. That's great advice, because in the moment you really don't be feeling like it's gonna work out. In the moment you be like, this is it. This is the end. I'm gonna just drop out. It's never gonna work out. But then it does. So
It does.
that is really good advice. And it's hard to remember in the moment, but I hope whoever listens to this holds on to that and to remember that it is gonna be okay. I know that you started biomedical and then you jumped into mechanical, but did you have any misconceptions about what mechanical engineering would be like or what studying it would be like that got cleared up as you kind of went through coursework or internships?
I don't think I had huge misconceptions. I don't think I understood all of the different areas mechanical engineers can go into. As I started to apply for internships and you start looking at all of the roles that are available, just about every company, it seems like, that's hiring engineers is hiring mechanical engineers. It's a really versatile degree. And so it's something that I didn't necessarily not know going in, but it's something that I think was really reinforced and something that I knew when I ultimately made the switch from biomedical to mechanical, that it would be opening doors just from a perspective of what people are familiar with. And so, yeah, I think that was, like I said, not necessarily a misconception, but it was something that was definitely reinforced. Is just you can go just about anywhere with the degree.
Yeah. Why do you think it's so versatile?
I think there's mechanical components in just about everything. I think, I mean, any physical product has materials. And so there's mechanical components in just about every product. And so, and if there's not in the product, there are in the machines that you use. Oh, I mean, there's going to be mechanical components in the product, but then there's mechanical components in the products that make the products. You've got that. There's a lot of mechanical components in just about everyday life. And so every company, for the most part, needs mechanical engineers.
For sure. And if can you say what different roles you occupied during your internships and co-ops?
Yeah, so my first company, I was working with a lot of CAD. I was kind of helping the engineers with changes they need made in CAD models. So I was updating things like if a screw changed, I was updating that in a CAD model. I was cleaning up drawings. I was doing quality checks. So we'd have pieces come in and I would make sure that I was checking big plates. So I'd make sure that the holes were drilled in the correct spot, dimensions were correct, that the things such as paint were dried correctly, that we wanted to accept what we were working with. I also worked with my first co-op. I was doing a lot of engineering change requests. So that's anything that an engineer needs changed on a model there, anything changed in a drawing. I was processing those. So I was working a lot in AutoCAD. And then I was updating our online catalog system so that things such as bills of materials were up to date, and then just cataloging any changes that we had made. And then with that, I actually was working with a project where I was taking a concept that was brought to me. I was asked to brainstorm some ways that we could implement a solution. So that was working with senior engineers to come up with different solutions for this problem that we were looking at. I was modeling those solutions up in CAD, 3D printing, was able to work with our tooling room to build a physical prototype in-house. And then another cool thing that I was able to do with that co-op was do a teardown. And so that's where you take a competitor product, and I was able to run it through a bunch of different tests and record data so that we could compare it when we were looking at building our own products. Mm-hmm. And then with my third internship, I was doing, that was more project-based. Mm-hmm. And so I was looking at ways to implement safety latches. I was building structures for testing technology. Mm-hmm. And then I was looking at prototyping a cover for a system.
I think it's really cool that in all these projects, it's something that you got to like physically do and like build and like see. I feel like that's one of my favorite parts about engineering. Like you have an idea and then it's like, okay, how do I bring this idea to life? How do I build this thing? Oh, it didn't work. Let me build it a different way. And like going through the cycle over and over again.
Exactly. So, and that's like, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just feel like that's one of the good parts also about internships. You get to try a bunch of different types of things and decide, you know, oh, I like this or I didn't like this too much. And you kind of get to feel out what you want to do prior to getting into the real world for real and having to, you know, start a career. So
exactly. And I'm so grateful for all the internships that I've had. It's really, I think internships give you a look at what you want from a future career and also what you don't want from a future career. And there have been high spots and low spots in all of them. And they've just been really great ways to learn about what you are looking for your future. Yeah. And then school is definitely giving you a great basis. Your classes are giving you a good intro to things. Yeah. I think internships are really exposing you into how the engineering world works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really grateful. And like I said, they all offered me really great learning opportunities. I'm very grateful for them.
Yeah, that's great. Last section, I like to call this the lightning round pop quiz. Okay. So I'm going to give you this or that statements and you just respond with whichever one you feel the most moved by spirit. Okay. Are you ready?
I am so ready.
All right. Apparently I was not ready. Okay. I'm ready now. Project assignment or homework assignment?
Homework assignment.
Final project or final exam?
Project.
Study group or study solo?
Group.
Meal plan or cook your own food?
Cook your own food. Just because the meal plan was really bad, but the convenience of it was great.
Yeah, yep. Would you rather ask a professor for help or a TA?
Professor.
Internships or co-ops?
Co-ops.
Falsely.
I'd like to give a little bit of a disclaimer for that.
Okay.
Only because I think staying on longer, you're allowed to see more. Mm-hmm. I have been lucky enough that my internship, I've actually worked part-time at during my academic semesters. So I'm kind of cheating because I have never had an internship that was just 3 months.
Oh, okay.
So I am cheating. So all of them would honestly kind of fall into the co-op category.
So you've never even had an internship. They've all technically just been co-ops. Really? Wow.
No, but yes.
Yeah.
Got a timeline.
Oh man, which is okay. Fall semester or spring semester?
Fall.
Roommates or no roommates?
Roommates.
Last question. Would you rather have 8 a.m. classes Monday through Thursday or 5 p.m. labs on a Friday?
Oh, 100% the 8 a.m.s. Those are awful options, but the 8 a.m.
They are pretty bad. Okay. You got through lightning round.
By the time 5 p.m. rolls around on Friday, I'm ready for my weekend.
Oh, I understand. I don't know. 8 a.m.s. I feel I had an 8 a.m. every semester except for my last 2 senior semesters. So it was tough.
I only have one this year, and it's a lab I'm TAing. But
an 8 a.m. lab?
It's an 8 a.m. lab,
That's
yeah.
also pretty bad. That could be a question.
No, I've been pretty lucky. I had them my freshman year. I had 4 8 a.m.s my freshman year, which is definitely, I think this, like, the warnings coming into college, which are like, it's different than high school. It 100% is. I did not do that to myself on purpose.
Yeah.
It just happened to me when classes were available, but it was definitely rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky. Not too many 8 a.m.s after freshman year.
Yeah. That 8 a.m.s from high school to college and corporate America, they're all different 8 a.m.s. I don't know what the science is behind it, but they're not the same. They're not the same.
I think I stay up a lot later in college, I think, working on assignments than I did in high school. So I think that's part of it.
For sure.
I think that's part of it.
Yeah. All right, Jayna, I'm gonna give the floor to you one last time. Do you have any parting advice for any student that wants to study mechanical engineering or STEM field or just on college in general?
Do it. You're gonna be great. I think if you want to explore the STEM field and I mean, even if you're like thinking about it, go into it, see what it's about, do your research, but you can do it. I'm so happy with my decision. And so, yeah, definitely go for it.
10 out of 10. You can do it, and it's always going to be okay. That is the moral of the story. Thank you so much, Jayna. This bonus clip is going to be put at the end of this episode.
Okay.
In the world, there are nerd ropes and there are nerd clusters. Pretend I have one in each hand. I am a fan of a nerd cluster. My good friend Jayna here has a different opinion. Please tell us about your opinion on nerd clusters versus nerd ropes.
My opinion is that nerd ropes are far superior to the clusters.
Tell us why.
There's a higher ratio of nerds to licorice in the clusters than there are in the ropes.
This is the same exact candy.
Perfect ratio. It is a perfect ratio in the rope. That is just, and I did go out and buy myself a nerd rope because I realized that I had this opinion and I hadn't had a nerd's rope in like 10 years. And so this morning I went out and I found myself a nerd rope and it still stands. They are better. There's more licorice to nerds and it's just, it's better. It's better. We can agree to disagree.
We gotta agree, and this is like one of the few things we disagree on. We have to agree to disagree because a nerd cluster is literally a nerd rope that somebody said snip, 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 bag, sale.
But there's nerds on the end of snips. That's the problem.
Those extra nerds on the side of the cluster really is what throws it off.
They do not. That is the problem. Honestly, if they were just like snipped and there was just spots without nerds, I think they would be great. They're drier. I don't know. They're just not as good.
You know what? We'll have to let that go. So in addition to everything will be okay in college and you will make it out and it will be a great experience, go out and get you a nerd rope and a nerd cluster and form an opinion for yourself. Don't be brainwashed into thinking a nerd rope is superior. Go find out for yourself.
Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think. It's supposed to be a fair comparison.
Look, my propaganda. Don't be brainwashed.
It's a fair comparison.
No. Tell us what you think yourself between Nerds Rope and a Nerds Cluster. Jayna, thank you so much. You've been great. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. It was great to be here.